And there's the Queen there doing her Christmas message. So I was thinking that perhaps you could do your own Christmassy message to the nation, Simon.
As the Queen?
As the Queen, yeah.
Oh, God. So what she might say this year?
Yeah. So how she might say it.
Hello.
A lot of preparation goes into these podcasts, you know.
Yes, they do. My husband and I would very much like to thank you all this year for the support you've given us. She would just waffle. It's all waffle, Lewis. I don't know if you've ever watched the Queen's speech.
It is. It's all fluff.
But it is just all bollocks. It is just all bollocks. She'll mention, I give all of my support to those overseas serving in my armies. She would always mention that, because they've always got to give the support to the army and stuff. Which, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But then, that would sort of be countered by her saying, we've had a very troubling year, and blah, blah, blah. And then she'd go on, she would slightly talk about, or sort of, glance upon some scandal that has happened over the year. So a scandal to do with like the government, or a member of the royal family being caught out doing something, and then that would be immediately glossed over by mentioning the upcoming wedding of the prince.
Oh, of course, that's what it's going to be this year, isn't it? Yeah.
My grandson William is getting married to some little hussy. She hasn't got blue blood in her. They're not even related.
Not even related.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so if people don't know what this is, I'm sure you have your own sort of countrywide Christmas traditions and stupid shit that happens, and this is kind of the British thing, isn't it? Everyone watches the Queen's speech on telly in their living room with a nice cup of tea. It's very stereotypical, but it's like, actually the case, kind of thing.
Well, people from Commonwealth countries would also probably watch the Queen's speech. It'd be part of their tradition as well.
Like Australia.
So, like our Australian listeners and those in Canada or whatever, they would probably watch it as well.
Where else are the Commonwealth countries though, other than those two? I mean,
lots of shitty islands all over the place.
Yeah, I suppose. Like St Helena and
places like the Falklands.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear that the Pope's giving a speech to the UK? He's already recorded it.
I didn't hear that.
The ex-member of the Hitler Youth, Joseph Ratzenberger, whatever he's called, Ratzinger.
Is that his name?
Yeah. He gave a speech to the UK, which I didn't even know he could speak English. I don't even know what he sounds like. I've never heard him talk. I've just seen him, on telly or whatever, just walking about waving, looking a bit like the Emperor out of Star Wars.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, he looks like he's about to fire lightning out of his fingers. Yeah, he's a bit of a creepy old git. Still, they don't last very long, these popes. They don't have very much of a life expectancy these days, do they?
Because they're always old men, that's why.
I know, they're really old men when they get made pope.
They need to jazz things up. They need to have, a young person be the next pope. Maybe even a woman. They've already had one woman pope, so there's a precedent that's been set.
Really? I did not know that.
I've been thinking, about who the next pope could be. A young woman, who's hip, who's with it, who's currently, a big deal in the world. Do you know who I'm thinking of? Ginger Spice. That's who I'm thinking of.
Jerry Halliwell.
Jerry Halliwell.
I'm not sure
she's down with the kids. She's always up there in the charts. Everyone's walking around singing her songs. She's.
I think you're about 10 years out of date, but I think that would probably appeal to the people who decide the Pope committee.
Probably. They probably would think that she would be an ideal Pope. No, actually, no, they wouldn't. That's ridiculous.
I don't know, she's probably not quite old enough, really. You have to be, young in Pope terms is like 55,
Yeah.
Someone like Madonna, maybe.
Madonna? No, she's Jewish. well, she's not even Jewish. She's like a sect of Judaism, Kabbalah.
Is she?
So I don't think she would be
Oh,
Pope.
of course she is.
It's probably
I
a
guess not.
big deal. You know, one of the qualifications of being Pope is believing that Jesus Christ was the Messiah, the Son of God. And if you don't believe that, you're probably not allowed to be Pope.
That's a good call.
Ho 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 ho!
So, presents, Simon. I was thinking, I mean, what...
Presents!
When you were a kid, right, and Santa came and got you presents,
Yeah.
were there any sort of, things that were very memorable to you? I mean, what was Christmas morning like for you in the Simon household?
Christmas morning, I remember, right, the most memorable Christmas morning. I got up at about 6 o'clock. My mum and dad opened the door to my bedroom and they're like, "Come downstairs, Simon, Santa's been." And I was like, "Yay!" And I rushed down the stairs, and there underneath the tree there were all these gifts lined up. And I rushed over to them, and my parents said, No, those aren't your gifts. That's your gift over there." And they pointed, and Lewis, I turned around, and over in the corner of the room was the tiniest, littlest, plain cardboard box I'd ever seen.
Okay.
And I looked at my parents, and my eyes started to water a bit, and my dad said, "Oh, go on, open your present, open your present." And I went over to that little corner of the room where it was all dark, and it was quite cold, and I was shivering. I bent over, and I opened the cardboard box, and do you know what was in that box, Lewis? Do you know what was in there? Inside of that box was the greatest gift of all. It was love.
Aww. Simon.
Of course, love isn't a physical object, so the box was actually empty. but in my mind, in that box, there was love, and it was the best Christmas I ever had.
Oh, God. Well, that is a wonderful, wonderful tale.
I wanted a big yellow teapot.
Oh, of course you did.
I wanted a big yellow teapot, and I never got it.
Well, we'll have to remember
I
that
got an
for
empty little box.
the future.